Inside Buckingham Palace, once a symbol of unity and strength for the British royal family, a new earthquake has just erupted. And this time, the person shaking the ground is none other than King Charles III. In a move that stunned the entire nation and left royal advisors baffled, the king has unexpectedly taken a series of strict measures aimed at limiting the power and influence of Queen Camilla, the wife he once defied public opinion to marry. But what shocked the public even more than the severity of the decisions was the reason believed to be the true motive: protecting the children of Princess Catherine, including Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, from Camilla's influence. From unusually secret internal meetings to excluding Camilla from private family events, from reducing her influence in matters of succession to revoking media privileges once reserved for the Queen Consort, Charles is raising a series of pressing questions among the public. What is really going on behind the stone gates of the palace? And is this the beginning of a silent war within the royal family, where the players have only now dared to make their moves? Never before has there been a precedent where a reigning monarch openly restricts the role of his own wife, who holds the second highest title in the realm, especially at a time when the royal family needs unity more than ever to overcome crisis. Princess Catherine's illness, Prince William's visible fatigue, and the ongoing speculation about the future of the throne after Charles's generation are painting a picture more fragile than ever before. Yet instead of avoiding or concealing it, Charles has chosen a bold move, siding with the children of Diana and Catherine, representatives of the next generation, to take a stand against the very woman once considered the greatest love of his life. Perhaps, after all the noise and battles, Charles has finally realized who truly represents the future of the monarchy. His sudden action to protect the younger generation of the Princess of Wales could be an unspoken declaration that the future of the royal family does not lie in Camilla's hands, but in the hands of George, Charlotte, and Louis, children whose bloodline is far more beloved by the public than anyone else in the palace. And their safety, character formation, and development must not be threatened by a controversial figure like Camilla. However, what truly shakes the public is not just the action, but the unanswered question. Is this the responsible sacrifice of a king for the future of the crown? Or is it the result of a simmering rift between Charles and Camilla, a marriage that once shocked the world because of its past, now quietly dissolving behind the scenes? What do you think about King Charles's decision? Is he doing the right thing to protect innocent children in the future of the British monarchy? Or is he letting emotion take over and pushing Camilla into a dark corner of power? Leave your comment below. Press 1 if you support Charles, or 0 if you think he's being too harsh. Let us know where justice truly lies in this ancient palace. The aftershocks of the shocking DNA result have yet to subside, and the public is already scrutinizing the relationships among those involved. It's no longer just about King Charles and Prince Harry, but also the invisible distance between Queen Camilla and William and Catherine, now more visible than ever. As if that harsh truth has peeled back a carefully guarded mask, exposing long, simmering fractures within the royal family, especially between the older generation and the future heirs. To Prince William, Camilla has never been a natural part of his emotional world. As the eldest son of Princess Diana, William grew up in memories torn apart by a cold marriage, arguments behind closed doors, and the tear-filled eyes of his mother constantly appearing in the press. William knows all too well who stepped into that relationship. Though he has never spoken a word of accusation, the silence and distance he maintains with Camilla are enough for the public to understand just how deep his loyalty to his mother runs. He doesn't need to speak. Just the averted gaze, the cold nods at public events, that is more than enough to show that. For William, Camilla will forever be the woman who caused a wound in his heart that will never fully heal. Camilla once hoped that time would erase all old memories, that when she became queen, the position itself would naturally command respect. But she misjudged William. For William, titles cannot cover up history. Every time he sees Camilla sitting beside his father in a radiant ceremonial gown, he remembers even more vividly the image of his mother crying in a black dress, walking out of the palace after the divorce. That memory does not fade, and it is what forever separates him from the woman once seen as the eternal third party. With Catherine, the Princess of Wales, her relationship with Camilla is not as cold as William's, but it can hardly be called close. Catherine is naturally prominent, approachable, and always adored by the public. She embodies a new generation of royalty, gentle but not weak, delicate yet full of inner strength. That's why the comparison between Catherine and Camilla is inevitable. While Catherine is often referred to as the reincarnation of Diana because of how she interacts with the public and media, Camilla is still often mentioned as a symbol of a controversial past. One is seen as the future queen of the people's hearts. The other is still struggling to be accepted. Camilla once tried to build a mother-in-law-daughter-in-law relationship with Catherine. But Catherine, with her calmness and tact, made it clear that this relationship, if it existed at all, would only remain at the level of social courtesy and duty. Catherine always maintained just enough distance, not so far as to be impolite, but never so close as to be misunderstood. Every time they appeared together at official events, the media would scrutinize every glance, every movement. And the clearest thing was, Catherine has never considered Camilla as family. This is not a temporary resentment. It is the result of a long, painful history that the generation of William and Catherine has never been healed from. Camilla is the embodiment of the past, a past that William does not want to repeat, and Catherine refuses to become a victim of Camilla's presence, no matter how hard she tries. Still evokes an era in which Diana, Catherine's mother-in-law, whom she never met, suffered and fell. How can one call the person who was once the cause of a shattered royal family a beloved mother-in-law? The public, of course, does not remain uninvolved. They compare Camilla and Catherine not only in how they dress or behave, but in how each has won the heart of Britain. And the painful truth for Camilla is she always loses. In the public eye, Catherine is a symbol of hope, the future of the monarchy. While Camilla, despite holding the title of queen, remains a symbol of a broken past. Photos of Catherine gently holding Charlotte or George's hand are always praised by the media. But Camilla, even when standing beside the king, is still overshadowed by Diana's legacy. This comparison doesn't just make Camilla uncomfortable. It deepens the already existing rift between her and the younger generation of the royal family. Inside the palace, it is rumored that Camilla once complained about being treated like an outsider. She feels lonely on the very throne for which she sacrificed her reputation, and the lonelier she becomes, the more easily she displays irritability, unjustified anger, only widening the gap between her and William, between her and Catherine, to an irreparable degree. The biggest question now is, can things change? Will William and Catherine ever truly reconcile with Camilla? Or will her past, Diana's shadow, the unhealed wounds, the buried memories, always be the invisible wall between them? Because in the royal family, everything can be arranged, except for the loyalty and memory of a son toward his departed mother. William has never needed to speak about it. His quiet avoidance of Camilla has always been the loudest declaration that even if Camilla is queen in the eyes of the nation, in his heart, she will always be the woman who stole his mother's happiness. And as that silence continues to blanket the palace, one can't help but wonder, what will happen if one day Catherine becomes the official queen and Camilla is forced to step into the background? Will Camilla be able to accept that with dignity? Or will she once again struggle to hold on to influence, even knowing full well that her image in the eyes of the next generation has been permanently framed in the past? No one can answer. But one thing is certain, in the kingdom of symbols and tradition, there is no room for unforgiven mistakes. And Camilla, even with a crown on her head, is still living under the half-suspicious, half-indifferent awe of those she must call family dying. And then, while Prince William was still quietly grappling with internal royal crises and public uproar surrounding his brother's DNA results, the name Camilla Parker Bowles, or more accurately, Queen Camilla, once again stood out like an unhealed scar on the face of the British monarchy. No matter how much time has passed, no matter that she now wears the crown, and stands beside the king in the kingdom's grandest ceremonies. In the hearts of many Britons, Camilla remains a symbol of betrayal, a woman who once shattered a royal marriage revered by the entire world. Camilla's legacy has never been a heroic saga. It is a series of awkward efforts to erase the image of the other woman from years past. But has anyone truly forgotten? In the public eye, Camilla is not only the cause of the collapse between Charles and Diana, but also the vivid image of a decades-long scheme, where she entered Charles's life with cold patience, with unwavering love, but not without calculation. The whispers from the past have not faded, that if not for Camilla, perhaps Diana would not have died alone in a cold tunnel in Paris. That's why every time Camilla appears, no matter the meticulously tailored gown, no matter the prestigious medals in her hand, she still faces skeptical, indifferent, even scornful looks. She once tried to repair her image, visiting orphanages, speaking out against domestic violence, standing alongside Catherine at public events. But all of that seems like a thin layer of gloss that cannot cover the dark canvas of the past. Compared to Diana, who once uplifted the monarchy with compassion, warm eyes, and empathy that transcended all barriers, Camilla appears as a pale, forced version. Diana once held the hands of AIDS patients when the world trembled in fear. Camilla hands out awards in splendid halls. Diana once knelt to the level of unfortunate children. Camilla stands on the podium of prestige to speak about compassion. Perhaps that's why, despite the passing years and Diana's absence, she remains a legend, while Camilla, even as queen, still cannot win the heart of Britain. The division that Camilla brings is not only emotional in the public realm, but also creates simmering cracks within the royal family itself. Many believe that the relationship between Prince William and his father has never fully healed since Charles married Camilla. There are even rumors that Catherine, the Princess of Wales, has also experienced moments of quiet discord with her stepmother. Simply because Camilla didn't just replace a wife, she replaced a role model, a humanitarian icon, causing every royal woman thereafter to face harsh comparisons. In her role as queen, Camilla could have served as a unifying figure. But ironically, her presence is more like a mirror reflecting all of Charles's past mistakes, every tear of Diana's, every wound yet to heal in the people's hearts. Every time she holds the king's hand in public, memories resurface of those secret phone calls from years ago, those passionate but wrongful words, recorded and spread like a storm that once rocked the entire royal family. Did Camilla try? Yes. It's undeniable that she has dedicated time to charitable causes, stayed away from shocking statements, and always maintained composure before the press. But all of that seems only to deepen public doubt, because once an image has been tainted by betrayal, it is nearly impossible to whitewash, especially when Diana's shadow lingers in every photo, every story, every retelling of the people's princess. Even in the latest public opinion polls, the majority of Britons still cannot fully accept Camilla as a true queen. They see her as a guest in the palace, someone who holds a role for the sake of the institution, not out of affection. And when asked whether anyone could ever replace Diana's place in their hearts, the answer is always no. No one, especially not her. Camilla's legacy, therefore, lies in a strange gray zone, not white enough to be admired, yet not dark enough to be entirely dismissed. She is a woman of the present, but bound by the past into a role she can never escape. And in a monarchy so obsessed with appearances, that means spiritual isolation, even while sitting on the throne. The final question now is not what Camilla has done, but whether she can truly change how history sees her. Or will the name Camilla Parker Bowles forever be tied to a dark chapter in the royal chronicles? A woman who loved to the extreme, yet became defined by mistakes the world refuses to forget? And without forgiveness, true forgiveness, from the hearts of the people, is that crown truly a victory? Or merely a belated consolation for a life always lived on the edge between honor and prejudice? And it is precisely in this context, where the royal family is struggling to find a way out of a past riddled with scandal and suspicion, that a radiant image, like sunlight piercing through a dark curtain, has emerged. Catherine, Princess of Wales, not loud, not scandalous, not relying on media tactics or calculated backdoor alliances like someone whom everyone already knows too well. Catherine has steadily won over the hearts of the public with grace, sincerity, and unwavering composure. In a monarchy still straining to overcome the chaotic legacy of previous generations, her image stands as a symbol of a modern royalty, one that listens, that understands, and above all, one that knows how to adapt in order to survive. Every step Catherine takes is carefully considered, not to manipulate the media, but to build trust. From the affectionate gaze she gives to children in pediatric hospitals, to her sharp speeches at international forums, all radiate an invisible form of power, the power of kindness. She doesn't need to fight for attention, because the public voluntarily turns their gaze toward or on her, as if they have found their ideal royal model, neither distant nor artificial, but close and full of emotion. Alongside Catherine, her three children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, are growing up under the hopeful eyes of all of Britain. Unlike previous royal children, once shielded by layers of power and ceremony, these three are being raised to understand that a title is not a privilege, but a responsibility. George is not only the heir to the throne, but a symbol of a new generation of royalty, humble, educated, and deeply aware of his role. Charlotte, though still young, has shown remarkable poise and composure at official events, while Louis, with his innocent charm, brings a fresh breeze, making the royal family appear more human, more relatable. While Catherine and her children are increasingly seen by the public as representing a future free of scandal and deceit, the image of Camilla emerges as a stark contrast. It cannot be denied that Camilla has made efforts in her role as queen consort, but what she leaves in the hearts of the people is still mostly skepticism. No matter how many forced smiles appear on television, or how many times she appears beside Charles with carefully groomed composure, the public still sees in her something strained, something unnatural, and more painfully, there remains the memory of Diana, the woman into whose marriage Camilla intruded, who was pushed to the brink of despair, and who ultimately met a tragic death. In that comparison, Catherine does not need to compete, yet she always shines more brightly. Her presence is like a soothing melody amid a chaotic symphony. She doesn't need to fight for public affection, because she embodies the very values that people are yearning for: stability, integrity, and a royal image more approachable than ever. And it is also for this reason that King Charles, once engulfed in controversy surrounding his complicated romantic past, has begun to show clear favoritism toward William and Catherine's family. At public events, he often places Catherine and the grandchildren at the forefront, even allowing them to represent him at major occasions. Many sources from within Buckingham Palace have revealed that Charles sees Catherine and the children as the true future of the Windsor dynasty. This shift in how Charles views Catherine is not merely a political strategy. It is an awakening that it is Catherine who holds the key to rebuilding public trust. After years marred by scandal, high-profile divorces, and the exodus of royal members overseas, and it is her children, through their innocent, well-mannered, and affectionate image, who help soothe the emotional wounds that the British people have endured from a turbulent past. However, the question remains, like a haunting whisper echoing through the grand palace halls and the tightly closed gates of the monarchy. Can Catherine and her children truly reshape the image of the monarchy? Or is the shadow of the past still too vast, too dark to be erased? No matter how powerful Catherine's presence may be, no matter how pure and full of potential her three children are, the stains of history are not easily wiped clean. A Camilla still sits on the queen consort's throne. A Charles still carries both love and resentment in the hearts of the people. And a Britain that still has not healed from Diana's death. All these form invisible walls surrounding any attempt at reform. But it is precisely because of this that the journey of Catherine and her children becomes all the more admirable. They are not merely living in a palace. They are fighting on a different battlefield. The battlefield of trust, of emotion, and of hope. Every step they take, whether on a red carpet or a school playground, is a litmus test for the monarchy's future. They may succeed as new symbols of purity and progress, or they may fail, swallowed up by the blurry lines between tradition and modernity, between past and future. However, one thing is undeniable. Catherine and her three children have brought to Britain something the monarchy has rarely had in recent decades: trust. And in an era where trust is more valuable than the crown itself, they are the final glimmer of hope to save a regime teetering on the edge of survival and oblivion. And it was from the very moment when images of Princess Catherine and her three children were widely published across international media, accompanied by respectful remarks from Buckingham Palace, that all eyes turned to King Charles III. There was no longer any doubt. The king had made an extraordinarily bold political and familial pivot. This shift was not simply a change in media strategy. It was a quiet yet resolute declaration. Camilla is no longer the center of this reign. Since mid-2025, Camilla has been withdrawn from a series of important events, even no longer appearing in symbolic activities such as receiving ambassadors or accompanying the king in national ceremonies. Initially, the media perceived this as a sign of health concerns, but when a close source from Clarence House stated that the Queen is currently stepping back to focus on her private work, it became clear that this was merely a vague expression for a much greater decision. King Charles, through a series of decisive actions, has elevated the image of Prince William, Princess Catherine, and their three children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, as the royal symbols of the next era. He personally directed palace media to prioritize coverage of their activities. In private meetings, Charles emphasized, if the monarchy wants to survive this century, then George and his mother must be its soul. Those words, once leaked, shook the inner circles of the palace, for they were not merely praise for Catherine, but the clearest sign yet that Camilla had been sidelined. But why did Charles suddenly change like this? Many believe that, after years of battling illness and intense public backlash during Camilla's early days as queen, he had a wake-up call. The powerful resurgence of public affection for Diana, the waves of calls to return the title Princess of Wales to Catherine, and above all, the touching bond between Catherine and the people, all led Charles to realize that the royal family could no longer live under the shadow of past scandals. This move was not only a strategic transformation, it was a deeply symbolic step. Charles wanted to correct his own mistakes. He could not change the past, could not bring Diana back, but he could do everything in his power to ensure that her legacy, through her children and grandchildren, would not be tarnished. His firm decision to limit Camilla's role was not only a reflection of his desire to protect the image of his descendants, but also a way for him to seek final redemption before history closes a bitter chapter. Of course, this decision did not come without consequences. The royal family was immediately divided into two camps. One side consisted of the younger generation, William, Catherine, Harry, and even Princess Beatrice, those who supported change and yearned for a transparent, compassionate, and modern monarchy. On the other side stood the conservatives, including those who had supported Camilla from the beginning, viewing her as a symbol of stability after Diana's death. Between these two currents, Camilla fell into an extremely awkward position, no longer supported by the public, and no longer receiving absolute protection from the husband for whom she had once sacrificed everything. A close royal source stated she no longer holds the power she once did. Even Camilla's closest aides have been gradually reassigned or replaced. This is no longer her era. That truth became even more painful when she was forced to sit in a secondary row during Princess Anne's 75th birthday celebration, an event she should have presided over. The media did not miss that moment. Anne's icy glare at Camilla, the awkward bow of the head, and Charles's absence from her side, all painted a tragic picture of a woman who once stood at the pinnacle of power. But for Charles, this is not merely a political gamble. It is the battle of a father. Catherine, though battling illness, remains the spiritual cornerstone of the royal family. Charles knows well that if his grandchildren grow up in an environment divided by disputes over status and morality, he will have failed as the guardian of the Windsor dynasty. Thus, he chose to end all controversy. Camilla is no longer the central figure. Catherine and her children are the future. However, the larger question still hangs over Britain. Is Charles's action a strategic move to save the monarchy, or merely a personal sacrifice for a greater cause? Has he truly let go of a bond with Camilla that spanned nearly half a century? Or is this all just a carefully calculated act to keep the crown from falling into the hands of critics? The people have the right to doubt, for with the British royal family, the truth is often hidden behind the cold stone walls of the palace. But clearly, what is unfolding reveals a completely different King Charles. More cautious, more decisive, and willing to change even what once seemed untouchable, just to protect the one thing he still believes in, the future of the throne, placed in the hands of William, Catherine, and the next generation. And in that move, Camilla became a figure on the sidelines. No more spotlight, no more respectful bows, only silence and whispers in the palace corridors. At last, Charles has chosen the future over the past. At 77, Camilla is no longer the infamous mistress hiding behind the shadow of Prince Charles. She climbed to the position of queen through a persistent and strategic battle, legitimized not by public love, but by the determination of a man who defied the institution to have her. But now, as the king gradually steps into the background with declining health, and the spotlight shifts to the younger couple, William and Catherine, Camilla's status has begun to shake in an alarming way. In recent months, Camilla's engagements have appeared less and less frequently on the royal household's official calendar. The media has begun to question, is she being gradually pushed aside in the power transition plan? Has King Charles III come to realize that in order for the monarchy to survive in the 21st century, he must make a painful decision to remove Camilla from the center of the royal stage and pave the way for a new generation to build a completely different image? The truth is, to many Britons, especially those who lived through and loved Princess Diana, Camilla will forever be a symbol of betrayal, of a royal era mired in sordid scandals and distant from the people. Though officially crowned queen, that recognition has never been accompanied by affection or reverence. In recent public opinion polls, Camilla's trust and popularity ratings consistently rank at the bottom among senior royal family members. And that is not without reason. By contrast, Princess Catherine, once deemed too ordinary upon entering the palace, has become the most anticipated figure for the future of the monarchy. Alongside Prince William, they represent a fresh, transparent, relatable image with the potential to heal deep fractures in British public sentiment. While Camilla evokes memories of scandals and secrets behind Buckingham Palace's doors, Catherine brings a sense of safety and trust, a devoted mother, a resilient wife, and above all, a royal untainted by controversy. That image has made Camilla feel out of place in the royal family's new ecosystem. She cannot match Catherine's effortless grace, lacks William's emotional connection with the public, and certainly cannot erase the pain caused to Diana, the woman the public still sees as an irreplaceable symbol of kindness and sacrifice. No matter how hard she tries, Camilla remains branded as the interloper, and that label seems impossible to wash away. International media, especially in the US and France, have begun to speculate that in the coming transitional phase, when Charles formally hands over most representative duties to William, Camilla will no longer hold a central role as she does now. Some palace insiders have even leaked that Camilla will retreat with an honorary title, appearing only at ceremonial events, with no voice in royal direction. This is a nearly certain withdrawal, calculated to preserve the image of a monarchy striving to redefine itself amid the digital age and social media. As for Charles, he too seems to have seen the writing on the wall. No longer the stubborn prince who once defended his love at all costs, King Charles III, in his twilight years, has begun speaking more often about values such as responsibility, integrity, and connection with the people. These are the key phrases he repeats in recent speeches, especially when referencing William and Catherine. A clear strategic shift is underway. Charles no longer builds the royal future around Camilla, as he did in the early years of his reign, but is now placing his bet on the steadfast, untarnished foundation of his eldest son and the daughter-in-law beloved by the public. The monarchy is now at its most sensitive moment since Diana's death. Post-Brexit, with the Israel-Palestine conflict, immigration crises, and independence movements in Scotland and Northern Ireland, all of these are turning the image of the British royal family into a crucial factor in preserving the kingdom's symbolic stability. In such a context, a figure like Camilla, who fails to generate consensus, is clearly a significant burden. Yet, the looming question remains, can Camilla find a suitable role in the royal family's new image, or will she forever be pushed into memory as a ghost of the past? Some have suggested that Camilla should become a spiritual matriarch in the royal household, serving as a bridge between old and new generations. Someone who steps back, but does not disappear. A figure who can support ceremonial protocol, maintain dignity in special occasions, but not interfere in strategic decision-making. However, again, this can only happen if Camilla herself is willing to let go of her ego, something those who know her say is no easy feat. People still vividly remember moments when Camilla overshadowed Catherine during ceremonies, dominated media coverage at sensitive times, or showed questionable attitudes toward the press. These seemingly small acts reflect a mindset not yet ready to step aside. And if Camilla continues to hold on to the attitude of "I am queen, I have the right," then this generational transition will not only be difficult, it risks creating irreparable rifts within the royal family. Some royal experts believe that the best thing Camilla can do now is withdraw with dignity. Because if she continues to cling to the title without the support of the people, the monarchy's image will inevitably suffer. And in a system so heavily reliant on symbolism, the negative perception of one individual can drag the whole institution down. Even so, one cannot deny this. Camilla is someone who has endured over 30 years of public backlash to earn her current position. She is a woman who knows how to wait, how to manipulate the media, and how to stay silent at the right moment. But the question is, are those skills still relevant in an era where everything is laid bare, and public support is the ultimate lifeline? And if tomorrow, William officially ascends the throne, if Catherine becomes queen with overwhelming public support, if their children continue to inherit that trust, then Camilla, who once stormed through the past like a tempest, will she have any reason left to exist in that new reign? Or, in the end, will she simply be a name in the final footnotes of history, a figure who played a part in one of the most painful turning points of the British royal family, and then, like all outdated symbols, replaced by something fresher, purer, and more beloved? And as the final chess move reaches its decisive turn, King Charles's action against the very woman who was once the love of his life, Camilla, has left all of Britain stunned. But deep within that shock lies a message that could not be clearer. He is placing all his trust in Catherine and her children as a vital choice for the future of the monarchy. When Charles officially removed Camilla from succession plans, the media saw not just an aging king trying to correct his mistakes, but also a father, a grandfather, risking everything to protect the next generation, the heirs of a dynasty cracking under the pressure of the modern world. Beneath the usual calm mask, Charles has made a bold pivot. He chose Catherine, the daughter-in-law once underestimated by Camilla, as the symbol of the royal family's rebirth. No more murky decisions behind closed doors. No more privileges protected by silence. This time, Charles's decision is a thunderclap across the gloomy sky of the monarchy, transparent, decisive, and willing to bear responsibility. Of course, not everyone agrees. Some see this as the ultimate betrayal of Camilla, the woman who stood by his side through decades of turmoil. But others believe that it is precisely because Charles dares to set personal feelings aside to prioritize justice and fairness for the next generation that he is truly worthy of the crown his mother left behind. In their eyes, Charles is redeeming the mistakes of the past with a future grounded in order and justice. The future of George, Charlotte, and Louis. If once the royal family was a symbol of closed-off tradition and silent power, then now, under the guidance of Catherine and her children, it seems to be transitioning into an entirely new era where the public can see, hear, and accompany a monarchy more transparent, more youthful, yet still preserving the essence of nobility. And if that means Camilla must retreat behind the curtains, then perhaps that is the price of change. Just think, could it be that Catherine, once rumored to be weak and submissive, has now become the center of the monarchy's future, a modern-day fairy tale? And could it be that Charles, once criticized for letting emotions override duty, is, for the first time, truly becoming a real king by daring to place the nation's interest and the monarchy's future above all else? From every angle, Charles's decision is not just a blow to Camilla's power, but also a powerful declaration: the past cannot dictate the future. Though controversial, this action shows that he is no longer blinded by emotion, but is instead trying, step by step, to shape a new image, a courageous king, willing to right wrongs, and ready to fight for the next generation. Now it's your turn to speak. Do you think Charles was right to prioritize protecting Catherine's children, rather than continuing to appease Camilla? Leave a comment with the number 1 if you support this bold new direction, or 0 if you believe Camilla is being treated unfairly. Don't forget to like, share this video, and subscribe to the channel to keep following the never-ending royal drama. King Charles has chosen the future of the monarchy, placing his trust in Catherine and her children, leaving Camilla in the shadow of the past. Is this the beginning of a new era? A dynasty built from old wounds, but stronger than ever before? Only time and the people will tell. Will tell. Will tell. Will tell. Will tell.